chosen one. You have been walking for what feels like an eternity through a valley of profound silence. For a very long time, you have carried a weight that few people around you could truly comprehend. You have smiled when your spirit felt fractured. You have offered warmth to others when your own hearth felt entirely cold. And you have continued to place one foot in front of the other, even when the destination seemed entirely obscured by the fog of your current circumstances. This is not a coincidence, nor is it an accident that you are pausing to reflect on these words right now. You have reached a specific juncture, an invisible threshold that many approach, but very few actually cross. The shift you are feeling deep inside your chest, that quiet, stirring sensation that something is finally turning in your favor, is not an illusion. It is the undeniable echo of your own extraordinary endurance. But to truly step into this new season of your life, you must understand the anatomy of the weight you have just endured. You must understand why the silence was necessary, why the refinement hurt as much as it did, and how you must now carry the profound blessings that are walking toward you. For months, perhaps even years, you have asked the universe, the divine, or the quiet expanses of your own heart, why the delay was so agonizingly long. You watched others receive their harvests while your fields appeared completely barren. You felt the sting of being overlooked, the heavy, sinking sensation of stagnation, and the whispered doubts that suggested perhaps you were forgotten. But you were never forgotten. The universe does not delay without intention. What you perceived as a bitter delay was, in fact, an absolute necessity. Consider the natural world, which holds the blueprint for all profound growth. When a seed is buried beneath the earth, it is plunged into total darkness. From the perspective of the seed, the darkness feels like a burial. The soil is heavy, the environment is suffocating, and there is an overwhelming pressure coming from all sides. But the darkness is not a tomb. It is a womb. Before a tree can ever stretch its branches toward the sky to bear fruit, it must first exert massive, unseen effort to drive its roots deep into the bedrock. If the tree were to grow upward too quickly, without establishing that deep subterranean foundation, the very first storm of the season would tear it from the earth. Your period of waiting was the expansion of your root system. The universe was not holding back your blessings to punish you. It was withholding the weight of those blessings until your character was strong enough to sustain them. You were being fortified. In those quiet, desperate hours, when you chose patience over anger, when you chose faith over crushing despair, and when you decided to be kind, even when the world was fiercely unkind to you, you were building structural integrity. You were developing the spiritual and emotional musculature required to handle the life you have been asking for. Wealth, sudden opportunity, profound love, and massive influence are heavy things. If they are handed to a person who lacks the inner strength to manage them, those very blessings will crush them. You were being prepared so that when your door finally opened, you would not lose your profound sense of self in the dizzying heights of your new reality. Everything you went through had a specific architectural purpose. As you transition out of that long winter and into this imminent spring, you have likely noticed that the landscape of your life is beginning to shift, and not all of these shifts feel entirely comfortable. In fact, some of them feel like loss. You may be noticing that certain friendships are naturally fading, that environments you once loved now feel incredibly draining, or that opportunities you once desperately chased no longer appeal to you in the slightest. It is absolutely vital that you do not mistake this discomfort for danger. You are not losing your way. You are experiencing the deeply uncomfortable but beautiful process of refinement and shedding. Human beings are creatures of profound habit. Our nervous systems are wired to seek out the familiar, even if the familiar is painful, toxic, or keeping us completely stagnant. Familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar peace, simply because we know how to survive the pain. But as you have done the quiet, difficult work of healing and growing, your internal frequency has fundamentally changed. You are no longer a match for the environments, conversations, and relationships that fed off your insecurities and doubts. When a hermit crab grows too large for its shell, the shell begins to feel restrictive and painful. The crab must leave the only home it has ever known, exposing itself to the vulnerable currents of the ocean in order to find a larger vessel that can accommodate its new size. You are currently in the space between shells. The old life no longer fits, but the new life has not yet fully materialized. Do not reach back into the past just because you feel momentarily lonely or uncertain. When you try to force yourself to fit into old dynamics that you have clearly outgrown, you are telling the universe that you do not trust the new space it is creating for you. Grieve the losses if you must. It is entirely human to feel sorrow when a chapter closes, even when you know deep down that the chapter had become poisonous to your growth. But allow the shedding to happen. Allow the people who do not recognize your newly established boundaries to walk away. Allow the situations that demand you play small to dissolve. The universe is actively clearing the clutter from your stage so that the things that are truly meant for your highest good have a clean, stable place to land. This brings us to a crucial realization about the nature of the blessings that are moving toward you. Many people hold on to a deeply flawed fantasy about how a transformed life actually unfolds. They believe that if they just wait long enough, sit quietly enough, or wish hard enough, the universe will simply drop a perfect life into their lap while they remain entirely passive. They seek out shortcuts, magical rituals, or superficial tricks to bypass the necessary work of human evolution. But true, lasting abundance does not come from a shortcut. It comes from the profound alignment of your deepest faith with your daily, intentional actions. You are stepping into a season where opportunities will indeed begin to present themselves with startling synchronicity. Doors will open that you did not explicitly knock on. People will offer you favor and recognition that will feel incredibly serendipitous. However, you are not meant to be a passive recipient of these events. You are required to be an active, discerning participant. As the momentum in your life builds, you will be tested with distractions that look remarkably like opportunities. A distraction often arrives wrapped in shiny packaging. It promises immediate gratification, easy money, or instant validation. But if you sit with it quietly, you will notice a frantic, anxious energy beneath the surface. It will demand that you rush. It will make you feel as though if you do not act immediately, you will miss out forever. A genuine opportunity, the kind that the divine has been preparing specifically for you, carries a completely different energetic signature. It may challenge you, it may require hard work, and it may even intimidate you. But at its very core, it will be accompanied by an unshakable, anchoring sense of peace. It will feel solid. It will not demand that you compromise your morals, your boundaries, or your newfound self-respect. Your intuition, which you have honed during your long period of isolation, is your greatest compass now. When a path opens before you, you must pause, breathe deeply into your center, and ask yourself if this path aligns with the person you have fought so hard to become. If the answer is a quiet, resounding yes, you must step forward with absolute boldness. If the answer is chaotic or unclear, you must have the courage to say no, trusting that walking away from a good distraction creates the necessary space for a great destiny. To truly understand this process of trusting the unseen, consider the story of the master stone carver. There was once a young apprentice who watched an elderly master sculptor standing before a massive, jagged, unrefined block of marble. For weeks, the master did not lift his hammer. He simply walked around the stone, running his weathered hands over its rough edges, sitting in silence and watching the way the afternoon light hit the varied surfaces of the rock. The young apprentice, full of restless energy and a desire for immediate results, grew intensely frustrated. He asked the master why he was wasting so much time doing absolutely nothing when there was so much work to be done. The master smiled gently and replied that he was not doing nothing. He was listening to the stone to find out what it was meant to be. Finally, the master picked up his tools and began to strike. He hit the stone with what seemed to the apprentice like aggressive, destructive force. Huge chunks of marble fell to the floor, shattering into dust. To the untrained eye, the master was simply breaking the rock. But as the months passed, the violent strikes gave way to gentle, precise chiseling, and a magnificent, breathtaking angel emerged from the dust. When the apprentice asked how the master had created something so beautiful from something so rough, the master replied that the angel had always been inside the stone. His only job was to strike away everything that was not the angel. You have been the block of marble. The painful experiences, the rejections, the sudden changes in direction, and the profound periods of waiting were not the universe destroying you. They were the chisel of the divine, striking away everything that was not the masterpiece. The arrogance, the impatience, the need for toxic external validation, the fear of the unknown, all of these were the excess stone that had to be brutally broken away so that your truest, most powerful self could finally be revealed. You are no longer the unrefined rock. You are emerging. You must begin to view your past not as a series of unfair tragedies, but as the meticulous, loving work of a master creator who saw the immense value buried inside of you long before you could ever see it in yourself. As this beautiful new reality begins to materialize, you are going to encounter a new and entirely unexpected challenge. The terrifying psychological hurdle of actually receiving what you have asked for. When you have lived in a state of survival, lack, or constant struggle for a very long time, your brain fundamentally wires itself for catastrophe. You become an expert at enduring hardship, navigating crisis, and anticipating the next terrible thing. So, when the seas finally calm, when a healthy relationship arrives, when financial stability is secured, or when profound peace finally settles over your home, your nervous system might initially panic. You might experience the crushing weight of imposter syndrome. You will hear a voice whispering that this is too good to be true, that you do not truly deserve this happiness, and that the universe is only elevating you to drop you from a greater height. This phenomenon is incredibly common, and it is the exact moment where many people tragically self-sabotage their own miracles. They pick fights in healthy relationships because the peace feels too unfamiliar. They mismanage new financial abundance because they secretly believe they are destined to be poor. They shrink back from incredible career opportunities because they are terrified of being exposed as frauds. You must absolutely refuse to let the trauma of your past dictate the altitude of your future. When the blessing arrives and your hands begin to shake, you must consciously intervene in your own thought process. You must remind yourself, aloud if necessary, that you are entirely worthy of the goodness that is flowing into your life. You did not steal this blessing. You endured the fire to forge it. It belongs to you. You must practice the fine art of receiving. Allow yourself to feel the joy without immediately bracing for impact. Rewiring your brain to accept peace requires just as much discipline as surviving the storm. Breathe into the abundance. Look it directly in the eye, and anchor yourself in the profound truth that you have paid the price of admission for this exact season of joy. To anchor yourself securely in this new paradigm, you must completely overhaul the way you speak about yourself and your life. Words are not merely descriptive, they are deeply creative. They are the acoustic architecture of your reality. For a long time, perhaps without even realizing it, you may have spoken the language of defeat. You may have used phrases like, "I am always struggling," "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I am completely stuck." Even if those statements felt factually true in the past, continuing to repeat them now will only serve to anchor you to a reality you are actively trying to leave behind. You cannot speak the language of a prisoner and expect to experience the life of a free person. From this exact moment forward, you must discipline your tongue. Even when the full manifestation of your blessing is still forming in the unseen realm, you must speak as if it has already arrived. You must speak from a place of profound gratitude and absolute certainty. Change your vocabulary from desperation to declaration. Instead of saying, "I hope I can finally catch a break," say, "I am deeply grateful for the opportunities that are effortlessly aligning for me." Instead of saying, "I am so tired of being broke and lonely," say, "I am actively making room for immense abundance and aligned connection in my life." This is not empty delusion. This is the psychological and spiritual practice of setting the table before the meal arrives. It signals to the deepest parts of your subconscious and to the energetic fabric of the universe itself that you are fully prepared to inhabit the life you have been designed for. In addition to mastering your speech, you must fundamentally change your relationship with time and action. You have spent countless years operating in a mode of intense striving, trying to force outcomes, manipulate circumstances, and push against immovable walls to make things happen. That era of exhausting, forceful striving is officially over. You are transitioning into an era of deep, magnetic alignment. Think of the difference between a person frantically rowing a boat against a violent current and a person who has skillfully positioned their sails to catch the prevailing wind. Both individuals are moving, but only one is operating with grace and sustainable power. You must cultivate the profound practice of stillness. Stillness is not laziness. It is the ultimate expression of trust. It is the conscious decision to stop trying to micromanage the universe. Every single day, you must carve out intentional time to detach from the frantic noise of the external world. Sit in silence, not to beg the divine for more things, but simply to listen. Pay attention to the subtle cues of your body, the quiet nudges of your intuition, and the undeniable sense of knowing that arises when you quiet the mind. When you operate from a place of stillness, you conserve your vital energy. You stop wasting your emotional resources on things you cannot control, which leaves you completely empowered and ready to strike with absolute precision when the right moment finally arrives. When you are still, you become deeply observant, and a person who watches the world with quiet clarity can never be easily deceived or thrown off course. As you walk forward into the brilliant light of this new chapter, you must make a solemn vow to yourself to never compare your unique, unfolding journey with the highlight reels of the people around you. Comparison is the ultimate thief of spiritual momentum. The divine architecture of your life was drawn specifically for your soul. It will not look like your neighbor's path. It will not happen on the timeline of your peers, and it is not supposed to. If you continuously look sideways to gauge your progress, you will inevitably stumble on the path directly in front of you. Honor the absolute uniqueness of your calling. Understand that the depth of your previous struggle is directly proportional to the magnitude of your specific purpose. The universe had to take you the long way around because the destination you are heading toward requires a level of wisdom and resilience that simply cannot be acquired on the easy, paved roads. You are no longer the overlooked, exhausted traveler. You are the architect of a beautiful new paradigm. Every tear you shed in silence, every moment you held your tongue when you wanted to lash out, and every night you lay awake praying for a breakthrough has been woven together to form the unbreakable fabric of your present strength. The wait is over, not because a magical switch was flipped, but because the foundation is finally solid, the roots are deep, and the vessel is finally large enough to hold the immense ocean of grace that is pouring toward you. Walk into this new season with your head held high and your heart wide open. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not apologize for the blessings you are about to step into. Stay fiercely humble, remain deeply grateful, but carry yourself with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who knows exactly what they have survived to get here. You have done the invisible work in the dark, and now you are going to experience the beautiful, undeniable harvest in the light. The door is standing wide open before you, and the wind is at your back. Trust your strength. Trust the divine timing that has orchestrated this exact moment, and take the step forward. Everything you have been waiting for is already waiting for you.